All right, your very next step to get ready for is you're going to be using your clear coat. Okay, so you can get your clear coat ready and open. You only need a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of it. And you're just going to use your finger to put it on. So you can get that, just one finger, yeah. All right. I will tilt my camera down so you can see this part. Make sure you can see that good. All right. Now, I just put mine on the lid, but all you're going to do is dip your finger in that clear coat. Okay. You don't need a lot, and you're just going to go and trace your entire stencil. And you don't want very much. Literally, you're just filling in those tiny, tiny, tiny little gaps that are between your vinyl and your wood. So you don't want a lot. You also don't want to wait for it to dry forever. Using your clear coat, just fill in all of those letters. Okay, you don't want a lot. Sometimes when I teach these in class, like in person, which isn't really a thing anymore, I usually go around and I literally wipe everybody's off my hand because everybody always puts too much on. So you should have a very, very little amount on top. And it dries fast. So it should almost be dry as soon as you put it on. It shouldn't be all drippy and gross or anything. You're literally just filling in all these tiny little gaps. And the reason for that is because although I sand all these pieces of wood down, the grain of the wood still pops up, especially with the weather and stuff. The wood shifts quite a bit. So sometimes those grains just come out of nowhere with the cold or the hot weather or the moisture or anything really. And the wood's not very fantastic right now, especially here. That part before. Nate, what does this do? Melanie, yeah. You can, Vanessa, you can totally skip that step. It's not a huge deal. It's just like one more step to make sure that you don't have any leakage. As long as you make sure that your vinyl is stuck really well, and then when we do the painting part, you're not putting too much paint on, then you really shouldn't have to worry about it. Yours, Vanessa, you could run yours under hot water and it'll totally unseal. It's just like a glue kind of. But yeah, it just seals it. That's all it's doing. It's just finding all those little areas where your paint is going to seep. Your next step though, you guys, is going to be using the white. You can get that ready.
Where is this clear coat? I have this white.
Yep, the clear would have been in one of the tiny little containers.
They're all leaking.
Janice, you just missed the beginning, but I was saying how I'm not sure how they leaked because they're all the screw top ones, but
yeah.
it's the clear one. So there you should have red, green, blue, and clear. It's like, it kind of looks milky actually.
I don't know if I have any. It looks like nothing's in there.
That's probably it.
No, I think it probably leaked or something.
Are you able to open it?
Okay, I'm going to put it under some hot water.
Okay. You don't have to use it, Janice. It's not the end of the world. It's just an extra little step I do. That's all.
Okay. I'll rinse it and see if there's anything. If not, it's fine.
Okay. It's clear though. You can't really see it. All right, so your guys' very next step is going to be using your white. Okay, so getting that out and ready. You're going to use your bigger sponge. Okay, that's your white sponge. So there should be 3 little ones and there should be a large white one. Large is in smaller, large. Okay. When I first started doing this, I always used to use paintbrushes, but then I kind of figured that the paintbrushes force the paint underneath the vinyl. And then I went to my cousin's house in Penticton, which is south in BC. And she had attended a party and she said, oh no, we just use makeup sponges. And I thought, well, that's brilliant. So, and they're affordable. So it was easier. And the biggest key to when you're using the sponge is actually not using very much paint. Okay, so I'm just gonna put, because I'm a rebel, I'm gonna put a little bit of paint on my stencil itself. Crazy, I know.
I got it open, but it's
Perfect.
so clear, it's invisible.
Okay, don't worry about it, Janice. Not a big deal. Move on to white. It's so clear it's invisible. Oh boy, hey. Okay, so moving on to white. So you guys are going to use your white, okay? Making sure you can see that really good. Okay, this is the key right here, you guys. You're going to stamp your white from your container, and then before you start stamping your white onto your stencil, you're going to stamp that paint off. Okay, this is how you know you're not going to make a mistake. So you stamp the paint off, and then you can cover. Okay. Take note how very little amount of paint I'm using right now, especially on the very first coat, okay? What I don't want to see you do is no rubbing, okay? When you're rubbing it and pushing it around, you're pushing it underneath the vinyl, okay? So just a very little amount, just like this. So I stamp that paint off, and then I cover. Okay, the very first 2 times looks horrible. It looks thin and ugly, and it makes you want to put more paint on, but don't. Okay, yes, you're going to put white over everything because when you go to put your colors on, you want them to pop, and they won't pop with just the regular color behind them. All right. Okay. So first coat looks horrible. It looks see-through. It makes you think that you need more paint, but you don't. So nice light stamping, making sure you're stamping that paint off before you go over top of your letters. Okay, you guys? And then you're gonna let it dry. Now is when you have your tea or coffee or wine or iced tea or snack for 2 seconds. It's right here underneath all of my stuff. Oh my God. Sorry, you guys. The kids were looking for something and I'm using it as a prop right now under my computer. Oops. Of course, right? The one thing I have to use in the house. All right, so by now this paint should be dry. So now you're going to do it again, okay? Really light, thin coats. Okay, this will take probably 3 layers of paint. But this is definitely the key to not having any seepage. And it takes very little amount. It's funny when people pour their paint out, like if they're at an actual paint party, they always pour so much paint onto the plate. They never use it all because you need so little. And you guys, because there aren't very many of you, just speak up if you have any questions or comments or ideas. I'm always open to learning new ideas. That's how we learn. This is probably the quietest teaching session I've done in a long time. Mind you, I teach kids during the day, and so they're all very loud. And I left off with teaching a pottery session, and they were very loud. It was not calm at all. All right, then you're going to wait for it to dry again. This is my second coat. It's not anything fancy. I bought this new fancy ring light. You guys can't see it, but it makes me look not very tired, which is so nice because I am very tired. So when you see all of those fancy people doing their makeup and their things, it's because they have a fancy ring light that makes them look not tired. All right, I'm going for our third coat, guys. Okay, so as long as it's dry, you can go on for your third coat. Oh, Melanie. Yeah, this will totally be posted. It's being recorded right now. And yeah, I went over the second coat or with everything as well, Natalie. It'll be posted so you can go back and rewind, but if Melanie, if you can catch up, we're like 3/4 of the way done, really, in theory, right? Because we're only going to do a couple more coats on the white and then just put some color on it, and then you guys get to dress it up with your own things. So, but yeah, I always go a couple coats over the everything, and then our very last step of the paint will be adding the colors to the lights, right? So, going for coat number 3. So again, making sure you're stamping that paint off. So I just call this layering up. I don't actually know if there's an official term. I'm sure there is from some fancy art person, but I just make my own terms up. It's easier that way. Then I understand them. You're layering up your paint. Yeah, I don't know what happened in the mail. Like, it seems so crazy to me that some of the paints just opened or apparently disintegrated or what. Like, I even took those packages that I bought and made them smaller so that stuff wouldn't float around as much. And it still was messy. Just crazy. All right, now, if you go to paint this on your second or third coat and you're finding that the paint is lifting off, it's because your paint is still wet. Okay, we can't apply wet, like paint to wet paint. It just doesn't work. It's like painting a wall and then turning around painting it again, and then you're just basically wiping it off with your paintbrush, right? So making sure that it's nice and dry in between your layers. Also, a funny story about those packages is I ordered them to be 16 by 8, and when I got them, apparently they're 16 by 8 when the flip thing is open. They're not actually 16 by 8. Oh, Melanie's in her car right now. That's awesome. Well, at least you can hear the information. But yeah, it will totally be posted. It's not a big deal. And you can honestly just contact me through my email or my Facebook page. Anytime. It sometimes takes me a whole day to get back to people. I work 2 jobs, and I teach and I go to school, and I have crazy kids and a husband. So sometimes it just takes me a little bit longer to get back to you, but I'm always happy to go and get back to you.